Looking to make sort of a pyramid for this guy. Did a little bit of checking earlier to see what the most, I guess, HP heavy blocks are for each of the groups. For GSO, it's the Eartha Cannon and the factories, which have the most HP, as far as I could tell. So those will sort of be like an outer armor. Again, this one will be a hover as well. Also, will not be using the hover glitch, as much as I like it. Still, all these have to be legit. Got plenty of these hovers, as I use them so much. Yeah, I actually had an old drone design, which just had a bunch of those. It's a little hard to work with, you know, such tiny thrusters that only have one connection point. But yeah, they are quite strong, I know that. So, similar deal, gonna put some of these in the center. I believe the center should be right here. And I got plenty of factories, which we can use for armor. I think that'll look pretty cool. Do you usually just go to the wiki for your information, or is there a better source? Personal testing, yeah. It's usually the way to go. I know there are a few people who actually get like the source code, but never sure how up to date that all is. Yeah, it's usually how I do it too. See if there's any good resources out there than just do personal testing. Probably just fill all of this up, these adjustment thrusters. Goodbye, millions of dollars. Let's see. It's actually probably not worth having these face forward. Since this is all going to be AI controlled, AI can't actually use backward thrust. So I'll just probably have these all face the same direction, more or less. It won't even use the backward thrust when turning. It only uses side thrust, from my recollection. At least testing I did forever ago. Like it's always like the AI always tries to move forward even when turning, so it's like slides. Yeah, it cannot. As far as I know, it cannot rotate on spot unless it's like anchored. But very strange that way. Usually have to build things like specifically that for the AI to control. Like something I can control like pretty well. Like the AI has immense trouble oftentimes. Probably gonna have this thing moving pretty fast, honestly. Even with all the weight it's gonna have. Just hope the armor's gonna be enough. Okay. I'm definitely worried about batteries for this. That is going to be the main weak point of a GSO vehicle. So ideally, I would sort of like section them off. Armor up around them. Might actually want to put the shields down ahead of time. Like every 4 blocks. Yeah, most of this will be in like the video I upload to YouTube. So, honestly, I'm getting kind of far behind on editing those. I need to just like spend a day getting them all done. Of course, I'll probably leave out most of the actual building part. Like, so general progress. Uh-oh. Hit it when it does this. Not letting me build in these specific spots. There we go. Usually it takes me quite a while to actually edit videos. Probably going to focus more on just like raw footage where I can. I'm thinking we'll at least put repair bubbles on the interior. Let's see. Batteries, sort of space them out. So hopefully we won't have to deal with chain detonations. Just limit their effect. I think a fair bit of this hollow, actually. Not entirely sure what kind of weapons I want to put on the bottom of this thing. Thinking maybe it's like massive amounts of mortars, something like that. We'll definitely want to get more of the interior done ahead of time. This build, because the outside's basically going to be a pyramid of weapons. Shouldn't be too surprised that I don't have more of these in my inventory just because they explode. Yeah, pretty much. Like, whenever I'm starting out, like, all of my vehicles are pretty much just like batteries with a thin layer of armor on the outside. If those batteries ever go up, the entire thing goes up. Oof, more batteries. Fortunately, they're not too expensive. Yeah, it's getting pretty late for me too. Honestly, might finish this next time. I'll probably stream tomorrow if I can knock out a few more of these. Just have a bunch of the auto miners running for a few hours. Oh wow! Dang, so must be in Europe then, right? Italy? Yeah. It's a little bit after midnight for me, so yeah, you definitely need that sleep more than I do. Anyway, I think I'll finish adding on these batteries and then call it a night. Should be adequate. All even. Okay, yeah. Got a nice basic form down. Probably gonna add a few more boosters on the inside. So honestly, that's probably enough. I don't want this thing going too fast just because of collisions. Back again with TerraTech. Continuing our finale, where we are building, at least for now, just one of each major corporation's vehicles to send off to be invaders. Trying to build something that I would like to fight. It would be fun. Because, as we've seen, there's kind of a limited challenge towards the end of this game, once you get everything you want. But, yeah. Spent, like, the day mining away, so we've got 20 mil to work with. Should not have any money issues. But yeah, I've sort of worked out the basic design here using the factories and the Bertha cannons sort of as armor to help with collisions. They have the least chance of breaking. Yeah, so it's more or less going to be sort of almost a pyramid of cannons hovering along. Got some mortars and smaller cannons along the bottom side. Then we're going to have a line of rockets along the top, and then we're just going to have the cab sitting right in the middle. So I like to have these set up to where, like, you know, potentially snipeable for a player who comes across this. But still a significant challenge. And of course we have our blue Celestian box in the middle as a reward if they do manage to kill it without dealing too much damage. Have a little pair there in the center for that. So now I'm just gonna finish adding in all these cannons. Gotta have a downward basic means of attack when you are a helper. GSO, in general, pretty good with their explosive weapons. They're decently tanky, decent fire rate. Just have a limited chance to hit most things. Aside from the rockets. Rockets ain't too bad. They're a good bit smaller than our GeoCorp design we finished last time, but so much more deadly because of the weapons. All of our designs from this point on should be roughly this size. So, a little max size, so shouldn't have too much problem spawning them in when they do go off to attack folks. Let's see, and I've pretty much got the interiors worked out how I want them. Added a few more batteries and thrusters and a few gyroscopes. The rest is just sort of figuring out scaffolding, which should all align just right. But definitely, if this thing has a shot on you, it could probably one-shot most things if it actually gets the hit. But aside from the missiles, a lot of these weapons have a large chance to miss. Probably a good thing because of how devastating they are. A little bit awkward building around these Bertha cannons, just with how massive they are. Let me see. And I am using some of these silos in here because I'm fairly certain they are a bit more HP heavy than standard blocks. Always want to use larger blocks where possible, just so they have less chance of breaking. Fair bit of this is just going to be hollow, though, fortunately. It's just a little bit lighter, so all those cannons are going to be super heavy. So it should stay fairly mobile. Check the speed, the max speed earlier on this, and so far it hits well over 70, which isn't too bad. You know, 60 miles per hour and over is where you start taking collision damage. So if you can keep a large tech like this under 60, that is ideal. Very good. And then there's enough space right in between where you could put down a couple of rocket launchers. Rocket launchers definitely more for anti-air. This will have a bit of a hard time aiming down. See, now we should be good to put in the megatons. Which definitely did not have to buy any megatons in the process of building this thing. They're one of the few parts you tend to accumulate a lot of, because it's an older part, and a lot of old designs have them on them, and they have plenty of HP, so they are unlikely to break in the process of killing an enemy tech, and to collect a lot of them. Thing's gonna have a great, just like, mechanical look to it. The factories really add a lot. I always love sort of a Borg aesthetic. Just a big old mess of wires and parts that you don't know what they do. Just the rear scaffolding. Probably won't do another layer of cannons, just make a line of rockets on the top, finish it off. Whoop. I hate it when that happens. Every once in a while you'll get this glitch, for whatever reason. Sometimes it'll let you place the lock, sometimes it won't. You can usually cheese it by placing the lock while rotating. That is challenging. Or you can like remove blocks around it, sometimes that fixes it. No, now I can't place that block either. Especially annoying when you get that glitch like during multiplayer versus. Had that happen a few times. Like I want to place a block like a gun down or something. Just won't let me. Ah, there we go. You just like spam. That'll work. I will need to figure out what kind of armor I want to put on these corners. Let's see. Let's do more factories. Do a 3x3. Leave a 2x2 space. Put down some more mechanical parts. It would be aesthetic. Looks messy, but is all pretty much according to a pattern. See if I can put that back. There it is. Alright. Sucks when you accidentally grab the wrong part, especially from deep inside. We're gonna put it back. Let's see, are there any other good manufacturing parts I could use? I know the scrappers are usually quite tanky. We don't have a good spot to put it in now. How many connection points on that? Okay, we'll change orientation on this. Could be a good aesthetic part though. Change orientation on that. Or that. Just need to finish off the central core. As scary as he's going to be, should have sort of a weak point. Digging that. Cool. Something here. Now for the center. How do I want that to look? It'd be cool to have like fans facing up through here. Sort of like a big old cooling vent. Really don't use these fans anymore. Remember, they used to be like the best form of propulsion back in the early game. Until the adventure parts came out. Functionally useless, but it looks cool. Well, kind of obstructs the tower resources we got in the middle. Yeah. I don't know. Almost prefer it that way. Goes better with the whole manufacturing thing we're going for. So, how do we want to shape this? We just calves on front, radar. Plus, we need to put lights on it as well. And these guys have particularly interesting lights on them. I hadn't considered block magnets. Might look kind of cool. Now, go ahead and put a shield on here as a connection point upwards. So I'm thinking either make it just a pyramid, like that, or put like a magnet up in the center. So that is kind of an interesting like way of using magnets. I think it's just like as armor. Can, like, you know, collect random blocks as they fall off, have them block enemy shots, and still repair them even. Particularly interesting lights. Alright, and we have to have the payload terminal on there as well. Suppose that would be a good spot to put one of these extra items. Right on top. Nice, big old, messy tech. Kind of make the tower a little bit taller, though. Fuel gauge. Not that it has fuel, but, you know. Altimeter. Pretty good. There's a little something along here, though. Just some armor blocks. Seems like I might have needed to put a few more gyroscopes on this thing, though. The way it wobbles. I'm sure that would take a lot of gyroscopes to actually stabilize all this weight. Stick a few in random places. Adds to that messy aesthetic I'm going for. I think that's done, though. Went ahead and called him the GSO Chonkster. I don't know. Because he's just a big old heavy boy. All that firepower. And of course we have to test him out. Look like any enemies have spawned. Give me something to fight real quick. A big old death top. That reminds me of... Used to play, what was it? Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. That had a really great multiplayer version. Or multiplayer versus to it. Like, design destructive vehicles. I made a death top in that. It's like... spun around in circles, firing lasers in all directions and such. Quite beautiful. Yeah. I think we'll go ahead and give this guy a send off. My turrets doing their job. It's always good to see. Actually, need to fly this guy a little bit further away so we can get a nice picture for him. A little bit, I think. There we go. That's a nice pick. And off to Twitter you go. I really wish you could just like straight up buy like a design and like, you know, automatically receive the parts for it rather than having to buy all the parts first and then build it. Save so much time, but no. Let's go to Nearby Tech. Right. So next up we have our adventure design.